Hey, how y'all doing out there? My name is Mark Knight, and you're listening to glammetal.com.
Welcome to the Glam Metal Interview Series, presented by rockmusicstar.com, with host Thomas S. Orwat Jr.
Hey everyone, this is Thomas from Rock Music Star with episode number 10 of the Glam Metal Interview Series. For this episode, I have Mark Knight, the guitarist-songwriter of Bang Tango, as my special guest. During this interview, Mark discussed the reunion of the original Bang Tango lineup and the first 3 Bang Tango releases. In addition, Mark also talks about his solo project, Mark Knight and the Unsung Heroes. So here he is, Mark Knight. Hey Glam Metalheads! We have episode number 10 of the Glam Metal Interview Series, and today we have our special guest, Mark Knight of Bang Tango, and also Mark Knight and the Unsung Heroes. Mark, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Let's start right off. I mean, how are you doing? Bang Tango just got back together in November of 2019, and then this this life-changing pandemic hits and completely throws off your momentum. So how did this affect you, and what's your mindset, and how are you doing right now with all this?
We worked really hard to get this thing together with the original members. A lot of phone calls, a lot of orchestration on the business end of putting the whole band back together again with the original guys. And we went out and did a really great show at the Whiskey in January, and felt like 2020 was our year. We'd come back, all original guys, and we sold out the Whiskey in Hollywood, our old stomping grounds. And then, come February, things got kind of weird. And then March, next thing you know, we got this pandemic that just shut the band down completely. Personally, I'm doing great because I was in the process of making a new solo record. So it kind of gave me just kind of space and time to really concentrate on that for the last 6 months.
Yeah. How many gigs did you have to cancel with Bang Tango because of this pandemic?
Well, we had the M3 booked in May, and that got postponed to September 2019 or 2020, and then that got postponed till 2021. So, we didn't have a lot of gigs booked. We were basically just we did the Whiskey, and then we were going after some festival type dates and bigger kind of shows like that. And M3 was next on the list, and that got postponed 2 times and pushed till 2021. So that was really it as far as canceling gigs with Bang Tango.
Yeah. Now you said you're working on a new solo record. How far are you into that right now?
So I've been working on a new solo record post Bang Tango reunion. I'm 2 years into it, and I finally last week or so finished all the tracks and mastered and mixed. Everything's done. I shot a video already for one of the songs, and plan to put it out in 2021. I want to let this year pass just because it's bad mojo. So it's done. It's just about wrapped. I haven't done the artwork for the cover. Those are the only things that need to be done, and then put together, and plan to put it out in 21.
Oh wow, that's great. Now, what can we see as far as the format, the physical format of it? Are you gonna put it out on I'm assuming CD? Are you gonna put it out on vinyl also?
I've been getting that question asked a lot, and I'm considering getting some vinyl done, but it's kind of pricey for the turnaround on selling it. So, I don't have a huge budget here. I'm doing it myself. My own label. Me and my wife have a label. We've been put out all my solo records for years. So initially I'm going to put it out on, all the streaming. I hate to put it out on some of these streamings, but it's the way to get it out there. And CDs, physical CDs, which I'll sign and sell through my website, and iTunes and all the other ones, Spotify.
Yeah. Now with your solo record, do you play all? Is it a true solo record where you play all the instruments, or do you have other musicians helping you out with it?
That's a good question. It's the Unsung Heroes, which is a group of guys. I have like this cattle of great musicians and friends that have helped me out through all my records throughout the years. And the initial band is Edward Chanowski on drums, who produced and engineered with me the whole record. He's the drummer. He played on all the tracks except for one, which Tig Kettler from Bang Tango played on. The other guys, Kyle Stevens from Bang Tango is in the Unsung Heroes. He's my guitarist, and he played on some tracks. And I use different bass players. We picked up a new bass player recently, but Reeve Downs from Rhino Bucket plays with me for years. Wayne Lotham played on a couple tracks. He was in a couple different bands, famous bands you might know. Who else? Let's see. Kyle actually played on 2 tracks too, as well, from Bang Tango. So I kind of pick up different players to make the records, but the Unsung Heroes are a certain group of guys.
Mm-hmm. And you sing all the lead vocals on it also, correct?
Yeah, I'm the singer-songwriter. I write all the songs. I like I said, I played probably 90% of the guitars on this. And there's a couple background singers that I brought in, special guests. A couple women sang on it with me. Angie from the Deserters, she sang one, and then my daughter Scarlett Knight, she sang background on another track. And then Keith England, he sang in the Alma Brothers, he sang some background. And George Andreas, he sang some background too, another great singer friend of ours.
Wow. Well, it sounds pretty cool. I'm really eager to listen to hear it when it comes out. What I'd like to do now is I like to go back and go back to the beginning of Mark Knight discovering music and becoming a musician. How did it all happen for you?
I just had a knack for locking on to like pop songs when I was like a kid before I even picked up an instrument. They just moved me, certain like 45s I'd buy and just get moved so much by music, like early Stones, early Beatles, pop songs that were popular when I was like 10 years old. And then eventually I realized this music moved me so much that I think I need to try playing some music. And my mom I have 3 sisters, put us all in like musical lessons and stuff. And I took guitar up in the 7th grade and just locked onto it, where it was like my mom would look at me and be like, well, I don't even have to ask you to practice, you're just doing it on your own. It was a natural progression.
Mm-hmm. And when did you start getting really good on the guitar, where you kind of felt that, hey, maybe I could make a difference in the music world, and maybe I can make a living doing this?
So I started at age 14. I picked up my first electric guitar, acoustic, whatever. And then my dad bought me this Strat, which was like unbelievable for the time, for my age. And I started I accelerated really fast, where my friends were like, "You're the best guitar player on the block, man. You blow this guy away in the high school." We had high school bands, like Battle of the Bands guys. Certain guitar players were heroes in our school, and when I became 11th, 12th grade, I started realizing I had this special thing, because people would give me this attention for my playing. And I was just like, whoa, I guess I got something. I need to improve on it, because if people are saying I'm good now, I better, accelerate and continue to work hard to keep up that reputation. And it just kind of happened. And then I learned, I had a knack for writing songs at an early age too. I was into metal, like Iron Maiden and Judas Priest and bands like that. And it just came to me natural, and I would play 6 to 10 hours a day, becoming 16, 17 years old, and I just knew this is what I was going to do.
Yeah.
And I just kind of pursued that.
Mark, how soon after that did you form Bang Tango?
So I played in a lot of different bands in Hollywood, started getting I circulated through the Hollywood scene and played in a bunch of different bands, a couple bands. Mickey Knight was one of them that we used to open for Rat and Poison and Wasp and all those bands. And then, that band kind of split up, and I went on and formed a band with Kyle and Stephen Ray, this band called City Slick. And that lasted about a year, and then that split up, and me and Kyle, I decided, hey, let's put something else together with a different singer. And we ran into Joe Lestay from Amir to Rock, who was in a band called Rough Cut. He told us about Joe. And next thing you know, we got, Joe came out. He was just natural chemistry. I brought Kyle Stevens in, who I used to actually teach guitar as a kid when we grew up. We grew up together. So we had this band put together, these 5 guys. And, next thing you know, we go out and finally play our first show, and it was great. Great response. We had, we were on the cover of Rock City News as the next Guns N' Roses, and it just happened really fast. And, 9 months later, after playing a bunch of shows, we had some label interest. It wasn't really a bidding war. There was a couple labels that were interested in us, but one label, Steven Sinclair, who was a subsidiary of MCA, offered us a record deal, and we just took it. We're like, yeah, a record deal, let's do it. And that's kind of the start of it.
Okay, your first actual release was a live record called Live Injection. What led to the decision to release that record before studio record?
I'm going to tell you some stuff that nobody even knows about Bang Tango. We put that out because we felt that was a good starting point for to get some grassroots street following. And before it was a decision made by the industry type people to put out a live record, kind of like what Guns N' Roses did with
right.
Whatever they did. I forget the one, Live Like a Suicide. I think that's what it was called.
Yeah.
So we went ahead and kind of followed that. It was kind of a plan. It was kind of a marketed plan to put out a live record before we go in and make the live one. I mean, the real one, Psycho Cafe. So we went in and did it, and it worked. It got some interest in the UK. It got some real street creds because it's really down and dirty and live and real, and it was cool. And that was the plan.
Yeah, and it seemed like it worked out well because Psycho Cafe, I mean, that pretty much took off right when it came out, right?
Yeah. So we had kind of this kind of this base of fans, a street team of fans from that Live Injection record, which was brilliant because when we came out with the studio record, we already had a little bit of we've been exposed where that's just people didn't have to look us up. They already kind of knew about us. And then we did the video for Someone Like You. And that MTV picked up on it right away. And that just lit the fuse for the record. That started it.
Yeah. Now, what were some of the bands that you toured with during that time?
So the first tour on Psycho Cafe, we basically went out and headlined clubs on our own, and we were selling them out. We didn't really, we didn't go out and do arena tours out of the banks. We just came out and kind of did a lot of club tours, and we were just packing. We were selling out every club pretty much across the country. So that momentum brought us into we want to step up and play an opening act for theater act, and we got on a bill with the Bullet Boys. That was kind of our first one. That was similar to our style, at least same scene kind of. And we were doing theaters with the Bullet Boys, and that was super successful. We did a month with them, and then it kind of we were always trying to get on an opening act for bigger acts, and we just weren't getting that breaks as far as opening for an arena act. So we would do things like Bad English and these different bands that weren't right up our alley, but still kind of cool. And then we opened up for Cheap Trick for a month, which was great.
Yeah.
But who else did we play with? Trying to think of the theater kind of level stuff. We did this run with Britney Fox. There were bands that we were just we prefer not to be out with them, but it still was decent.
Yeah, were they more co-headlining shows, or were you guys
Some
the headliners?
Some of those were co-headlining. The Britney Fox were kind of co-headlining. Then we got on a great tour with Badlands. J.K. Lee had this band, Badlands. and that was like, we were stoked on them, but it was still clubs, and we'd alternate headliner every night. So it'd be like Bang Tango would headline, then Badlands would headline. And we did like a month of that run. And then we'd go back out and just do like a lot of clubs on our own. We were constantly touring. And a lot of it was just, us out on our own with opening acts from local cities.
Okay, and then in 1991, you released Dancing on Coals, which I think is an amazing record. I mean, the guitar playing on that record is just out of this world.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, also Psycho Cafe. I mean, I think, as far as your guitar playing goes, the guitar playing team that you had with Kyle Stevens, I think is extremely underrated. I mean, there are some amazing riffs and some great leads on all three of the Bang Tango records.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we worked our asses off, and we never really, we always felt like we were underrated, and people just never really like caught on to our trip. But we worked hard. I mean, we were doing Dancing on Coals. We went out to New York and did that record, and I'd play 12 hours a day and go in the studio. I mean, my fingers were like, I remember being in a club one night and some girl had a lit cigarette. And I go, give me that cigarette. Check this out. And I put the cigarette out on my calluses on my fingers, because wow. that's how long I was playing every day. We were out to prove ourselves. And, I felt like we were totally underrated, both me and Kyle. One time we got a lot of respect is when we went to Japan. This is a good story. We go to Japan and do this like 2 weeks in Japan. We go and meet the president of the label in Japan, and me and Kyle Stevens get invited to the president's office, and the band has to go to a different place because they like appreciate the guitar work. It's pretty funny.
Wow. Well, now, and of course I watched the documentary Attack of Life, so I mean some of these questions I'm getting directly from that. So sure. Some of it of course is mentioned there, but I just for the folks that haven't watched it yet, I just want to go over some of the stuff. So I'm sorry if I'm being a bit redundant on what was already covered in the movie, but one of the criticisms of Dancing on Coals is the production and how you changed your producer from Howard Benson from the first record, Psycho Cafe. Well, first I want to know is what led to your decision to change producers when the first record was, very successful?
That's a really great question. Like Howard did great, like with Psycho Cafe, but I mean, I think what happened, to be honest, we had written a bunch of songs for the next record, and Howard wasn't having it or something. He wasn't digging the songs we were writing, and me and Joe were really on this Rolling Stones kick where we want to evolve into like a bigger sounding band with background singers and piano players and all. We were just trying to like expand the band for being this like 5-piece hard rock band, and I think Howard wasn't really behind that. I really don't know the answer to that, but somehow Howard did something or pissed us off in some way where we're like, we're going to find another producer. So we talked to a bunch of different producers, and we finally felt we liked what John Jansen was doing. He had just produced Cinderella at the time. He did the second Faster Pussycat record, and he was a little bit more old school. He worked with some classic rock guys like Clapton and stuff, and I was really about using him, and we basically had to like go out and like court him. He was doing Cinderella. We went out to like New Jersey to the sessions, me and Joe, and we flew out there, and we eventually he's like, all right, he wasn't signing on, but anyways, we got him to do the record, and it's not as gritty, it's not as edgy, it's not as like, I think the fans kind of weren't completely grasping that record compared to like Psycho Cafe, but honestly, I think it came out great.
Yeah, I think it's a great record. I love the cover. I love the track Midnight Struck. I mean, wow, that should have been a huge hit.
Yeah, right? I wrote that with Joe. Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a perfect song. I can listen to that over and over and over again.
That should have been our second single off of the record, which would, that would have probably, at the time ballads were like in, we did Untied and True. That was the first release. And then we should have put out that one. And that would have done it.
Yeah, it seemed like...
At least got us, record.
Yeah, it seemed like back then, if I remember correctly, the formula was to put out a couple of rockin' tracks first and then release the ballad. Or at least never release the ballad first, but always follow up with it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was like the time, put out the big power ballad. And we had it.
Oh, yeah, you did. You really had it.
We had it, but we go in and we talk to MCA and they're like, we decided we're not going to put out, the second single was going to be Midnight Struck, right? So we go in because we're getting all this attention in the UK and all over, and we go and have this meeting at MCA, which is Universal now. And basically they're like, well, we decided we're going to put out another live record and feature Midnight Struck on the live record. We're like, what? Like, okay. So we did that second live record, really weird.
Yeah. Is this at the point, the point where MCA started getting a little strange, being your record label, you guys started the second guess some of the things that they were, trying to promote with you guys, or second guess the way they were promoting Bang Tango at the time?
Well, yeah, we were like causing riots in the UK because we were like ripping on our label because they weren't doing the right thing for us. So, the press would come out in Kerrang! Magazine saying, Joe Lestate told off MCA saying, hey, yeah, look. So they reeled us in and said, we need to have a meeting. So we have this meeting. We show up to the meeting with, 25 magazines saying how we're underrated and we should be here, with these five suits at MCA. And they basically come back and say, well, we're going to put out another live record and feature Midnight Struck as a single off of it, which was like, well, that's kind of cool. They're going to give us another live record, but they should have just released Midnight Struck with a great video and continued on working Dancing on Coals,
Right.
And they ended up doing this. So we're just like, wow, all right, well, okay, let's go with that. That's where that second live record came out.
Yeah. Now, at 1991, wasn't that the summer that you guys went out on the road with Rats and I think Michael Schenker?
Yeah. So we finally get our first arena tour with LA Guns, Rat, and Bang Tango. We open. So we go out on that. We do 2 weeks, and here it is, 91, and Rat thought they were still selling out 20,000 seats and big theaters and arenas. We were getting like 5,000 to 8,000 people showing up, and 2 weeks into the tour, they canceled the tour and they said we're going to go back and only do the LA shows at Irvine Meadows, and that was the end of that. But it was really great while it lasted. It was like our dream come true. We're just playing this huge places, 5,000 people. Like we were on cloud nine, everything was great, and then all of a sudden 2 weeks in, it was supposed to last 6 weeks, and it got canceled.
Yeah, and then shortly after that, the whole grunge scene kind of took over pretty much overnight. Yeah, but we were already, we were about to write another record, and we had all these songs for Love After Death that were kind of edgy and in that vein. We weren't opposed to the grunge rock scene at all. Actually, Mike Starr from Alice in Chains, me and Joe wrote a song for one of the Alice in Chains songs called "Hear the Voices." So we were plugged in with the Seattle scene in a sense because it wasn't that far different, even though they would throw stones at the Hollywood glam metal rock scene, even though half those guys were glam rockers at one point. Yeah.
But we were kind of tight with Alice in Chains and some of the other bands, and we did Love After Death, and that was 2 years in the makings, and that's a whole nother story.
Well, it's a great story because it was a great record that was never released. Another horrible judgment call on MCA.
Yeah, exactly. You know, we spent 2 years making that record, and we brought back Howard Benson, who, you know, we went after a heavy edge sound, and I thought it was great. We all thought it was great. We thought it was our best work. You know, we come out and put it out, and we tried to put it out. We talked marketing. We had a new manager, Ed Gerard, who managed, worked with Shep Gordon from Alice Cooper. And he goes in to talk marketing after we'd spent 2 years, and they're like, we're going to pull the record, not going to put it out.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Do they own the rights to that record currently?
You know, the whole rights thing to Bang Tango is just a complete mystery. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We've tried to put things out on our own. We've tried different things. It's like, nobody has the answer to that. And we've had a lot of lawyers involved and tried to figure it out. I don't really, it's just like it's like the mafia. It's like, nobody knows for sure.
Yeah, that really sucks. I mean, especially, you know, you have such a great record and it's so different. I mean, you can hunt it down on YouTube and that, but I mean, still, I mean, that's ridiculous that, you know, for a record that was released in '94, I mean, a lot of people are, you know, hearing it for the first time just recently because they stumbled upon it on YouTube. You know, that could have been a really career defining moment for you guys, especially '94, because the grunge scene kind of like started dying out a little bit then, and Manson's and Nine Inch Nails and Manson started coming back. So totally. Yeah, so that could have been, I mean, you know, for your fans that, you know, waited out the storm of grunge, I mean, that could have been definitely a resurgence of Bang Tango, but you know, we can't go back in time and change things, but yeah, you definitely deserve, you know, a lot of credit for that great record that was released or was recorded but never released.
Yeah, this company called Music for Nations in the UK picked it up and released it in Europe, and then it got released in Japan. And Kyle Stevens had quit the band, so now it was down to just the four of us. And we brought in our buddy Mark Tremalia. He played guitar to cover Kyle's bit, and we went out and did 2 or 3 weeks in the UK to support that record. Not released in the US, you know, it was only overseas in Japan. And we came back from that tour, and the band just disbanded. Like, you know, you saw the documentary. We just like went our separate ways, you know. And then Kyle and Joe came out with another version of Bang Tango, and Joe continued to do Bang Tango and with other guys, you know, and I did my solo stuff and for years and years and years, and you know, here we are.
Yeah. I have a question about that other version of Bang Tango that you weren't involved with. Did you give them permission to continue using the name Bang Tango?
Well, you know, Joe went ahead and just did it, you know. I mean, I didn't go in and like try to sue him for the name or any of that shit, because I think honestly he might have had the rights to the name, and at that point I was so removed from that style of music, I didn't want anything to do with it. I just was doing this Americana singer-songwriter trip where it was just like, you know, whatever. And he continued on doing it with these different guys over all these years. And, you know, I was just like, you know, to me, it was just like, you know, I'm always evolving into whatever I am, you know, if it's that band or if it's my solo stuff or whatever it is. So I didn't really like, you know, take it on like, I own that band, I own that name, and I own this, and I own that. You know, I started it. You know, I never really had that attitude about it. I just figured like, you know, Joe can go on and do Bang Tango all he wants, you know. It's like, but it's never going to be the same without, you know, those 4 guys or 5 guys.
Right, and it wasn't, but now it is. You guys are back together. When did you start getting an interest to get back into Bang Tango, or when did you start thinking, hey, you know what, maybe I should give Bang Tango another try?
Well, I tried on and off over the years just because it was a big part of my body of work as a musician to revisit the songs, and the fans are always asking me, you should do Bang Tango again, Bang Tango. And I'm like, I've tried. I tried a bunch of different times, and, I ran into different obstacles with different players in his band at the time, and it was just ridiculous. It was just, and then all of a sudden, Joe decided. He started calling me, and I didn't really want to take his call because I wasn't really down with some of the behavior that was going on from his guys in his band. And finally, I took his call, and I said, hey, we cleared the air. It wasn't a friendly conversation, but it cleared out. And all right, well, let's take baby steps and see if we can get the guys back in the room together. Let's basically just to see if we can all play together. We did that in November of 2019. And then we're like, yeah, this feels pretty good. And then we all just started getting on the bubble of like, yeah, all 5 guys back together again. Yeah, everybody's a bunch of weirdos, but let's do it.
Yeah, right.
And, we continued on, and then I ended up kind of managing the band and booking the rehearsals and setting up a business account for the band, doing all the logistic crap. And we continued on, and then we worked really hard, and then we booked the whiskey, and then it happened, and we went out and did it, and it was great. And that's kind of where it all went. With the COVID-19 kind of stopped.
Yeah. So is Bang Tango going to continue once this is over? And are you going to record records? Are you going to go out on the road? And is this going to be a long-term commitment to one another again?
I think our plan initially was, I don't see us as a touring band. I see us doing, special occasions shows, not like we're like some special big band, but I don't see us getting in like a van and touring around and playing 30 days in a row. People have businesses and their own life, and I have my own band and my own career. And, but I do see us to continue on and hopefully pick up, some dates here and there. Hopefully some more festivals, maybe, some local clubs around the area when we play a festival, but it's not going to be like a touring act. As far as writing new music, I don't know. I mean, it's possible. I can't say 100% that we're going to be like putting out records, I mean, but it could happen. I mean, I'm pretty much wrapped up in writing my own stuff, and not like I don't want to write with the other guys in Bang Tango, but it's kind of difficult when, people live in different states and we're not all in the same room together. I mean, a lot of people do that through the internet and computers and all that, but we're kind of a band that kind of needs to bounce things around in the same room. But I mean, I'm not saying it's never going to happen. I mean, it definitely could.
All right, Mark. Well, I want to thank you very much for your time. Great interview.
Right on, Thomas.
I really want to tell you how much I love the guitar work that you did on those Bang Tango records. I mean, absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. I mean, I was a fan back in the day, back in the early 90s. But, now, like, listening back to that 30 years later, holy shit. I mean,
awesome.
I
can't wait to hear my new record.
I can't wait.
The title, I got a title. It's called Days of a Dreamer.
Okay.
And there's some serious guitar work on this one. You're going to dig it if you like that stuff. It's not quite as metal and like shreddy, but I think you'll dig it.
All right. Sounds good. I'll definitely check it out, and we'll get together then, and we'll have another interview, and we'll talk just about your new record.
Sounds great, Thomas. Thanks for having me.
All right, Mark. You take it easy.
Take care.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye.
This concludes our interview with Mark Knight. For more on Mark Knight, please visit markknight and theunsungheroes.com. To hear more interviews from the Glam Metal Interview Series, please visit glammetal.com and also rockmusicstar.com.